What's shakin' bacon? I'm Joni Simon, food photographer. Welcome to my studio. This is part 3 of a series all about pricing food photography. So in the previous video, we talked about why food and product photography isn't a one-size-fits-all when it comes to pricing, because admittedly, commercial and editorial photography can get fairly complex. Now, a lot of what we're gonna cover here is kind of the high level. If you really wanna get super in-depth on all of these things, we go through all of that inside my business courses, which I've linked down below. But what we're going to do here in this mini course is get you started quickly in coming up with some numbers with the least amount of complication. And so where I suggest you start is in coming up with a number that represents what an hour of your time is worth. Now, take note, that's not shooting time, that's time in general, and we're going to get more into that in a bit. But now, there are averages when it comes to this hourly number. Commercial photography rates from a time perspective on average range from $100 to $300 an hour, although there's plenty of examples of much more than that. But for you, if you're just getting started, I definitely suggest your minimum be at least $100. You might be tempted to go, oh, well, that seems like a lot of money, Joni. But I promise that's actually a really solid baseline for getting started as a food photographer or product photographer. Because when you get to the point when someone wants to hire you, that to me means that your work is at least at a level that's worth at least $100 per hour of your time, I promise. And again, you might be tempted to go lower, but bear in mind that you're a business owner, you're not an employee in this scenario. You're offering a custom service, not a high volume product. Let me explain that a little bit more because this is key. For example, let's talk about plates. Where can you find the cheapest plates? Walmart here in the US is absolutely one option that comes to mind, and they can win the low price game because they sell tons and tons of stuff at thousands of stores on a massive scale. Now, their plates aren't unique, they're mass produced, but they're cheap. Like these ones, they're $1 a plate. And if that's what's most important to you is that it's cheap, then you're gonna go for a Walmart or some other big box store that also generates profit based on volume. But what if you're me? Obsessed with using handmade ceramic plates in food photos, and you've been on the hunt for the perfect small appetizer plate with just a little bit of speckle and just a little bit of matte texture that kind of looks a little organic, and you find it at a boutique shop, like the one that I love here in Phoenix called Urbana. So finding this plate that I've been on a quest to find that is very specific and very unique and handmade, how important is price to me in that moment? I mean, I wouldn't spend hundreds of dollars on that plate, but I absolutely have been known to spend $30, sometimes $40 on a single plate because in my line of work, in my business, and as an artist, I value plates like this. Now, not everybody would buy these plates, and plenty of folks would say, that's crazy to spend that kind of money on plates. Just like I don't get into handbags, so I don't have any desire to spend lots of money on a handbag. They're just not important to me. And so it would be wild to expect Urbana and the ceramicist who made this plate by hand to charge what Walmart charges for their plates. They just can't mass produce these plates. I don't know how many people they have working for them, but I guarantee they don't have enough people to produce plates on the scale that Walmart does and maintain their handmade qualities. And so coming back to photographers, we find that photographers quit their businesses all the time because they try to run the race to the bottom on price, trying to win the Walmart game. But you're not set up to work that way. You're a solo artist, a small business, creating custom products. And something else that requires a mental shift is realizing that you're a business owner, not an employee, which means you're gonna owe some taxes. Because when you're running your own business as a photographer, you're working freelance for different companies. Let's say you charge them $1,000 for a project, but you don't get to keep all of that $1,000. A percentage of that is gonna go toward your taxes. Now, obviously, I am not a tax professional, so I highly advise consulting a certified public accountant with the expertise for your situation, but regardless, you are gonna owe taxes. That I can guarantee. But this is different compared to when you say work for an employer. They take out what you owe in taxes and then give you a paycheck. But when you're the business owner, you collect payments for goods and services, and then you pay the taxes on that. So before you start to reduce your prices below $100 per hour, realize we're not talking monopoly money here. You're not coming up with arbitrary numbers. We're talking real money. The money to pay your business expenses too. The money to pay your yourself, the money to pay the government. So again, pick a number between $100 an hour and $300 an hour if you're just getting started out. Now, we could absolutely go through the entire process of calculating your overhead and expenses and financial goals, get into more of the nuanced complexity. Certainly there's a time and a place for that. For the purposes of this mini course, this little series right now, I just want to get you up and running. So we'll worry about those things later. For now, come up with that number between $100 and $300 an hour, because next I want to talk about how to use that number. Because big important disclaimer here is I don't recommend charging your clients on an hourly basis. Like you're like, oh, Joni said to pick a number between $100 and $300, so my number is $185. And you're like, great, my hourly rate's $185, and you start telling clients that. I don't recommend that. I did that once, that did not go well. I'll tell you all about it in the next video.